It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false.
So I don't know why I haven't analyzed AOC earlier, but this clip was ripe to start my first analysis of AOC. She's talking about disinformation and misinformation, two very hot topics that we have been facing in, well, this dawn of AI and actual crazy things that we're seeing, from deep fakes that began appearing in 2018 to right now, which is just insane. We no longer know what is real and what is not. And in this case, well, she wants to give some advice, some kind of warning about misinformation and how dangerous it can be. And my question is, who really gets to decide what is misinformation? But let's take a closer look at her body language and the way that she expresses her ideas. At least she's not shouting in this one.
I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy, because that is a part of what happened here. And we're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false.
I have a real question about that. Because opinions, essentially, you know what to say about it, opinions. Opinions are like arseholes, everybody has one. But in the sense of opinions is that you can have dissenting of opinions about something. And you can say, hey, I have a different opinion than you, and that is okay. And maybe that opinion only influences me. And for example, I have an opinion about socialism, and I have an opinion about Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party, and I share those opinions here. Maybe I have, of course, certain responsibility with my audience to try to be truthful and try to have some honor about it. And the honor comes from trying to tell the truth, and it would make sense for myself in the long run to speak from my values, because, well, that is the way that we are supposed to do things. If we talk from our values, then our opinions, at the very least, are useful for ourselves. So sometimes you can have an opinion. For example, the earth is flat. That is sometimes that is not an opinion. That is a conspiracy theory that some people have. I don't know if they are trolling or they say that for real, but you could say that is misinformation. But the problem is that we are talking about the size of the audience that anybody has in these situations. How is that? What am I talking about? Because if it was 10 people who were saying that the earth is flat, I think that would be not much of a problem. But 10 people are saying that, that's okay. Because if one of those people, those 10 people, began telling others about it and convincing them about that, well, maybe you have 1 million saying the same thing, and is it still a problem? I don't think that is still a problem, because even if 1 million people believe that the earth is flat, it's not going to affect others about it. What really affects, what these people are worried about, it's not about the flat earthers. No, these people are worried about those who can and will use any kind of information, even if it's real and the truth, to change other people's decision making, other people's choices. And the funny thing is that she claims that, we cannot just let people, and let me see the words that she's using.
And we're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation.
Notice that she make that pause before saying that, because she knows that it's a delicate topic. She doesn't know how to address that in a way that doesn't expose all the lies that the Democrat Party, that Joe Biden, that Kamala Harris, and I guess that herself has said at any point, and people are noticing it. And I asked that question on X. I mean, how can you say this and not address the fact that the Democrat Party as a whole have told so many lies in the, I would say in the past year, starting with Joe Biden's good health, good spirits. He's the one, he's the best president of the United States ever. And what do we have now? And all the answers that I get from people that are fans of Kamala Harris, that are going to vote for Kamala Harris, is you have to see the lies that Donald Trump says. That, okay, wait a minute. Why is it that every time that I confronted with the reality that the Democrat Party lies, all that they can say, confronted with the contradiction of what Kamala Harris says, for example, what she says about fracking, what she says about the border, what she says about the economy, what she says about decriminalization of illegal immigrants. She has said all that. Oh, she has just changed her mind? Is that simple? Her values are the same, but she has changed her mind? Mental gymnastics, but it is still not misinformation. No, she's just changing her mind. But if we begin to point out that, then all that they can do is attack us personally. Like you're a misogynist, you're a racist, or whatever, because they don't have actual arguments. And going back to the original question that I asked, who gets to decide what is misinformation and disinformation? And I'm going to answer that. It boils down to the very simple approach in which if that affects them, then that is disinformation or misinformation. If it doesn't affect them, as in the earth is flat, they won't care much about that. If it comes from Donald Trump's mouth, it is going to be misinformation and disinformation. That's what they're going to say every single time. But the facts are the ones that I question over and over again. How can't they see? And by they, I'm not going to say the Democrat Party. I'm going to say people who plan to vote for Kamala Harris. You have the right to vote for Kamala Harris, but tell me if you haven't had at some point some kind of dissonance about how she acts, what she has said in the past, what she says now, and the absolute lack of an actual program, actual policies, and backing those policies. All that she can do is to go for the tax breaks. That's it. A couple tax breaks for children and for startups, and $25,000 for first-time home owners. And every single question she answers with, I come from a middle-class family. That's it. I mean, that's a great strategy. If you don't expose your policies to the world, you cannot be attacked in any way. But that says a lot about people who are going to vote for Kamala Harris. They are going to vote just against Donald Trump. And we know from history how that kind of attitudes towards voting end up in many instances. It never ends well. I really, that's a very bad idea. But in the sense, these people want to control the flow of information in one way or another. You know that one of the main ways of communicating nowadays is through X, the app that we used to call Twitter. And Elon Musk has been very vocal about the fact that if Kamala Harris wins, well, it's gonna be bad for the United States. And I wholeheartedly agree with Elon Musk. It is not going to end well. Again, there's a part of me that says, well, if Kamala Harris gets to be president of the United States, then whoever votes for her is going to find out. So maybe that serve as some kind of lesson. But it is sad that so many people would have to pay for it when it is avoidable. And you know how can you're in the United States, you can prevent that. But my question for you, my body language buddies, with this is, who gets to judge what is misinformation and disinformation? It's two words, maybe you can confuse them at some point, but who gets to be the ultimate judge? I would love to know what do you think about this in the comments. And remember to download my 100 body language tips right in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy. Much love and bliss.